Just for clarification, I don't make up the titles. They come from home office. I don't know who this person was.
I'll find out.
But when I got the title from Reverend Eileen, I thought of a trip I took when I was 20 years old. A group of friends and I got in the car and went on a road trip for Easter break. And we drove 6 hours or so to the coast in Georgia. And while we were staying on this little coastal cottage, a cyclone blew up. And they were evacuating the area. And so we did what any group of sane 20-year-olds would do. We went down to the breakwater to experience the storm. And what I remember, what is so riveted in my memory, is these incredibly huge, tall palm trees that were getting whipped to the ground, back and forth, the fronds actually hitting the ground on these trees that were, I don't know how tall the palm trees are, they were huge. It was an awesome experience. So here we are talking about blossoming in the swaying, which is really about how do we walk through, how do we navigate the changes that are happening in our lives. And so some of you may be swaying into spring. We love that, don't we? When things are just blossoming and we're moving and gently enjoying. And some of you might feel in the midst of a storm. Because truly life is that variety of experience of storms and gentle breezes and dark times and sunlight. In fact, the sun is shining down on us right now. That true nature of being, it really is the fullness of life right now. That peace beyond human understanding really is present right now. And so we come here a lot because we want to get bolstered up. And listening to Danny sing, he is sort of sunlight itself, isn't he? Can we just give him some love? It felt like a fluke that I came up this Sunday. I never come up on the 5th Sunday. And I had called Reverend Eileen last week at the end of the week, about Thursday, I think, to let her know that I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it up because I had this cold and I didn't want to bring it up to you because somebody gave it to me. And she said, well, I don't have you scheduled for your 4th Sunday. I have you scheduled for the 5th Sunday. And Danny's singing, and I thought, what kind of divine conspiracy is this? I'm listening to, I talked to Brigida, I know this woman, I've known her for decades. Brigida, after listening to her talk yesterday, I was just able to open it yesterday, and she asked me, and when we talked, did you like my story? For those of you who didn't hear the story, she told this miraculous story of setting an intention in it with her dynamo determination. She got to have what she wanted. And she said, what did you think of the story? And I said, don't we love it when it works out in our favor? And yet, it doesn't always. We aren't here really to manipulate and just get things to be gentle and swaying in our lives. We really are here to remember who we are, so that we can walk through life as it is. Thoughts, feelings, conditions come and go. I was remembering the time I went to visit the mother of a friend of mine. She had just gone on hospice. The doctor had told her, you know, you have cancer, and she said, that's fine. I'm not going to pursue any treatment. Now, she was 9 years old. She was ready. She had no reason in her that wanted to pursue more and go through the agony of that. So we scheduled a visit where I was going to meet her so that I could sit and walk with her in the family through this time of dying. And she canceled on me because she was feeling sick. And so we rescheduled when she was feeling better, and I came and I met her. And the first thing she said is, I'm so glad I'm feeling better now. And what sort of just fell out of my mouth was, that's not really the direction we're going. And when I said that, there was a deep pause in the room. She was sitting with her daughter and her granddaughter and her 90-year-old husband, and there was a pause, and you could feel the stillness and the peace. That's what was there. This total dropping into, this is what's happening. I'm dying. This is what's happening. We're losing our beloved. And yet when they dropped in, what was there was peace. You could feel it in the room. Everybody experienced it. That's blossoming. Edward, the way he is in Santa Rosa, Reverend Edward, renamed, he retitles some of these funny titles that we get from home office, and he called today Thriving in the Midst of Change. And we love this idea of thriving. We talk about it, and we can participate. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, encouraged us to align our thoughts, did he not? Align our thoughts, not to create, but just to put us in alignment with what it is we want to experience. And so I think of thriving not so much as getting what we want and having it this big explosion of good, but thriving simply as being fully present and fully alive with what is. Because what is fully alive is present right now. Our thoughts, our ideas, our wants, our desires, the things that we don't want, that gets the tension in our minds. Our minds get carried away by our judgments and reactions. And we're wired to have judgments and reactions, so we're not really here to just feel good all the time, although really we want to. We're not here to say that you should always be happy and loving. What I want to invite you to this morning is just meeting yourself where you are. Feelings come and go, do they not? Thoughts and experiences come and go. Conditions come and go. Sometimes they stay around longer than we want, but life is ever unfolding because life is thriving. Life is blossoming always. And so if we meet that in this moment, there's a possibility of really opening and experiencing that peace that's right here. Doesn't mean we don't have grief. Doesn't mean we're just liking and loving everything. But a bigger experience of who we truly are opens up. Right here in this moment. Blossoming, thriving, and being fully alive isn't about what's down the road. It is what's present here, always. This teaching is always about what's present here. As Ernest Holmes says, starting where we are. We're not denying, we're not trying to jump out of a condition and change it, but meeting ourselves where we are so we can drop into that awareness. That is the support sustainer of our being. That is the guider and the director of our being. No matter what the storms. It's what this woman, Helen, experienced when I said what I said to her. I didn't think to say this. It just happened through me. For me, that's the best of ministry. That's the best of our livingness. Have you experienced that when things bigger than what you're planning show up through you? That's the divine expressing through us. So blossoming as an opening. Our teaching is not about a fixed end, because the end of our experience is the same. It's the same as Helen's. It's not what we're shooting for. Is that right? It's not what you're planning. So that being right here, so that we can be present with ourselves and with life and with each other. Because then we are truly, fully alive. Ernest Holmes says in the textbook, we're not adding an inch to reality. We're opening to allow reality to express through us. That natural light and that love, that is the nature of life, knowing life. Because if we truly knew we weren't separate, wouldn't we be a little bit more gentle and kinder with each other? And that connectedness and that oneness really is the ground of being in this teaching. This teacher, I think I might have mentioned him last month when I was here. He said, we have to take ourselves less seriously as the person we think we are, and more seriously as the consciousness we truly are. We're here to recognize that source and listen to that source. Yes, we're identified with our bodies and we like them to be happy. Yes, we like our emotions when they're happy. Yes, we like our conditions when they're happy. Yes, we like politics when we have the people we want ruling us. And yet this is what's happening right now. This is our world. When we talk about creating our world, this is our world, just as it is. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he was an author and a political advocate in the Soviet Union. He said, the line that divides love and hate lives at the center of each human heart. Ernest Holmes invites us to turn within with every condition, with every thought and feeling, and resolve what is divided in us. It can be more gentle and more kind, but we all have that sense of things we love and maybe hate. We can rename hate, but we have that we wish wasn't here. Yes? We resolve the division in us. Doesn't mean we don't do anything. Doesn't mean we don't take actions to stop things that are hurtful. But it means that we stop participating and contributing from a place of division. Because division really is the problem, is it not? Isn't it the main issue? Where we see good and bad, where we see us and them. Division is the break. Ernest Holmes says, we are truly only really ever healing the appearance of separation. So we're here to simply wake up to that which is our true nature, to wake up and listen again so that we are participating in life, not for my good alone, but truly for the good of the planet, for the good of the human species. While I was sick at home, quarantining myself, I rewatched Camelot. That movie came out when I was 14 years old, and I went to the theater on a snow day and went to see it, and it cracked me wide open and it broke my heart. For those of you who don't know the story, here's the story of King Arthur coming in and establishing a kingdom, drawing England together to work together for right and justice. And then it breaks apart out of human frailty. And at the end of the movie, he's standing at the battlefront, about to go to war with his best friend and ally in creating Camelot. And this little boy runs up to him and said, I want to be a knight of the Round Table in Camelot. And King Arthur says, have you ever met a knight? Do you know any knights? And he said, no. He said, how do you know about the Round Table in Camelot? And he says, from the stories I have heard. King Arthur tells the boy to run behind the battleground so that he can stay alive and spread those stories of rightness and justice. And one of the soldiers comes up to King Arthur and says, who was that? And he said, he was the same as all of us, less than a droplet in the sunlit sea. But oh, some of those drops do sparkle. We come together here, not to bolster up love and sparkle, but to drop into that awareness of that sparkle of life that lives at the heart and the soul of our being, so that how we are moment to moment, breath by breath, in every activity, we are that light. We are that understanding, that deep felt experience of the wholeness and oneness that we truly are. And let's now come together in this practice we call prayer. We call it spiritual alignment up here. We call it spiritual mind treatment. Is this shifting in our own consciousness to align with spiritual truth? So let's turn within. Recognizing that sparkle of life, that true source of creation, that one presence is fully abiding in this moment. That is the source of all, animating all that is, breathing every breath, that one source wholly, completely present. In everything, in everyone, everywhere. And so I take this time to simply recognize, to open to that presence, right where I am as I am. I know it is my source. It is not some part of me. It is the very consciousness, the presence of life that I am right now. And so I know it as the truth of each one here, each one hearing this word and beyond. It is that is conspiring and configuring, opening, blossoming anew right now. Informing and whispering and shouting, pressing, pulling us into that greater awareness of who and what we are. Individuated and always together as one life. And so I know right now, for each of us, for all of us as community, I know that true opening, that call home to prayer, that animates and informs, that meets us exactly where we are, moment by moment, breath by breath, for it is who and what we are, where we are always. We listen, we open, we surrender into that sweet embrace. And it does sparkle. It is that sunlight. It is that deep, abiding depth of being that is not tossed and turned by the storms of life, by thoughts, feelings, conditions. It simply is holding us right where we are. And so I simply know this and I accept this as an ever growing, greater felt experience, greater opening depth of being that transforms right in the midst of each moment. And surrendering in this awareness. I am so grateful to know this truth. I am so grateful for this call home right now. And standing in that presence, that infinite ground of being, I simply let go. I let this be. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.